Introducing Oakley Meta Vanguard, the new performance AI glasses designed for athletes. With hands-free capture on an action-ready ultra-wide camera, powerful open-ear speakers, and built-in Meta AI that syncs with your Garmin devices for real-time insights while you train. Take your performance to the next level with Oakley Meta Vanguard. Athletic intelligence is here. Learn more on meta.com.
In Walmart's Huluville, everyone ready their cart. Amazing Black Friday deals are about to start. Online and in the app, such great deals to explore. Everything you love from tech, toys, and more. The days to save and the ones to remember. It's only the 25th to the 30th of November. Set your alarms. Don't miss out. These deals are epic, without a doubt. The Who's are all ready, but are you? Walmart Black Friday deals await. Who knew?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wrestling Draft.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Wrestling Draft here on the Wrestling Draft YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts in the audio realm. I am your host, Scott McLeod, back again. I was handling some family business last week and I am very sorry to have left you so close to the end of the season in the company of my co-host. You know, I listened it back because I had to for editing purposes to the last week's episode, and of all the episodes of the draft that we've done from here to its old form, that was certainly one of them. Mm-hmm. And I'm joined, as I am always, by my culture appropriating co-host, David Hockney.
Oh, listen, that show I did when I got back from India, that's going to haunt me in terms of, but you're the one that brought up the cultural appropriation side of things. So if anything, I'm blaming you for that.
Well, you should have been called out. It's about time.
Listen, I've come here fresh-faced. I've got a long weekend ahead of me. In a good sense, right? I.e., that means I'm off tomorrow. And you know what? What better way to round off a working week than to update folk on the Wrestling Draft, because it's not long till the end of the season, and I think it's only appropriate that we kick things into full gear. Yeah?
Oh, listen to me. See what he's done
what I did there?
See what he's done there. How he thinks he's so funny. Anyway, it's not a fully AEW flavoured top three. This we do have an AEW member in the middle there, and he is at the top of the scoring overall. But we'll get to him in a minute. But he, being Kyle Fletcher, he is tied with the brand new and two-time NXT Women's Champion. A fun fact noted on commentary when I watched Gold Rush is that now she's only the fifth or sixth woman, I think it is, to hold the titles twice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Others being Charlotte Flair, Shayna Baszler, Roxanne Perez, and I believe that's it.
Yeah, so there are only four.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say eight, but I remember, no, that's Dark State. Apparently Dark State are only the eighth team to hold the NXT titles twice. Also, the record there most times is three over various incarnations of Undisputed Era, but that's by the by. BC Jane capturing the NXT Women's Championship back at Gold Rush is tied with TNT champion Kyle Fletcher, who has a big match, obviously, this Saturday at Full Gear. But at the top of the table is the undisputed WWE champion, Cody Rhodes, also appearing on SmackDown and on Raw, and they'll lead up to the War Games match next week, and also that'll continue. It's weird because I don't feel like Cody sometimes is in the top three nearly as much as you'd think he would be, probably because he did take that break to go do Street Fighter.
Well, he did defend the WWE title on SmackDown against Bronson Reed, but he won by disqualification. Still counts, but it's a good round of scoring needed for Cody Rhodes. Can't remember whose team he's on though. It's this is the annoying thing about having to juggle through about 14 different teams, is that you never seem to remember who's on what team. But yeah,
your friend Robert Shaw's
of
team,
course he is. Yeah,
109 points overall. Cody has. It's weird. He's only been on one pay-per-view, also retaining at WrestlePalooza. Everything else has been scored via TV because Saturday night's main event is a TV special.
Yeah, but I want to talk mainly about JC Jane. Like, what a surge in scoring she's had in the last couple of seasons. Like, she's got 66 points as a non-captain scorer. She's now tied with Ethan Page and Dominic Mysterio, both who have had very good seasons themselves. And she's only 1.5 points behind Jon Moxley, which, as we all know, Moxley always has a good season. He's a consistent scorer, and I think he's probably like the cornerstone of AEW TV. So if you ever need an AEW pick to get you out of a bind, it's got to be Mox. And the fact that she's caught up with him now is, I think, maybe a sign of things to come going forward.
Yeah, again, like I said, she was not picked very highly in terms of the rounds, and I think with the fact that, you know, sometimes people's perception, I said at the time, people's perception in WWE booking can affect how people choose them in the draft. I think the fact that WWE were just hammering home this very beatable champion vibe, or made people hesitate. They thought, oh, she's definitely going to lose the belt this season. She did, but then she got it back.
Mm-hmm.
So that was helping JP in the long run. It helped the fact that he lost the title the week before with El Grande Americano losing the now valid Speed title. But obviously, JC Young, you said she's outscoring Paul Heyman, who's on 58 points on JP's team. And Last Legend is only just now starting to really get some momentum going now, appearing on Raw and SmackDown, well alongside Nia Jax leading into the women's War Games that he's been hit by Jacob Fatu, being taken out for the rest of the season with an injury. But as you mentioned, also Kyle Fletcher, I think his momentum may run out this Sunday, or the Saturday rather, I'm used to saying Sunday, at Full Gear, where he's taking on Mark Briscoe for the TNT Championship.
Mm-hmm. It is a no disqualification match as well, so there is potential for interference, but I think this could potentially be the chance that Mark Briscoe makes a single star of himself and wins the title.
Yeah, and he has definitely been the juggernaut for Tom Brock's team. 112 points. Tom Brock is currently in third overall on the table, and he's got also people like Tony Storm and Hobbs Javat who have done him well as well. But like Tony Storm did lose the women's title very early on in the season after a hell of a run throughout most of 2025. So that's held him back. But he may not be winning the season, but he's on the outside looking in of our top two. But again, it caps off once again what an incredible performance Tom Brock's had this year. Probably his best singles performance by far, in my opinion. Oh
yeah, easily. And Kyle Fletcher and Tony Storm were the big drivers of that. But he did have a little bit of a booster in the form of AJ Styles getting the tag titles with Dragon Lee. That sort of came out of nowhere a little bit, but it gave him that much needed boost to sort of keep him in strong contention within the main table.
Mm-hmm. But it has been a big couple of weeks on TV, and especially on WWE with title matches. Also, we had Blood and Guts on the AEW side. And this past week on Raw, big Madison Square Garden show, buddy Gary Kernahan's bad luck continues. He's in last place, 187.5 points, with Becky Lynch losing in an upset to Maxine Dupree for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. I think this is going to set up Becky becoming the fifth member of the heel team at War Games. He's been courted for the face team, but it's one of those things. But Gary's had a lot of bad luck. Also, it seemed like when Becky went up against Nikki at Classic Bash, we're like, oh, just give him the points now. It felt like that should have been a thing with Maxine, but they told her really good story, which meant Becky kept losing, which is the last thing Gary needed at this point when he was just having such a terrible performance. He's having the opposite of what bloody Tom is having.
Yeah, it definitely was a shocking result, to say the least. But Becky, I think, is in that state where she's putting over young talent, trying to establish names for the future. And this was one of those instances which doesn't help Gary from a points perspective. But if she is going to be in the War Games match alongside AJ Lee on the face side, there is some potential maybe to finish strong, but I don't see him getting past bottom place at this stage, unless Andy Mitchell has just a horrendous run of luck as Gary has.
Well, you mentioned Andy, 187.5 points is what Gary has. Andy's just above him on 192 points. Then we jump into the 200 barrier. We'll see if either Andy or Gary can also join the 200 club. But 206 points is JP. But usually the Indians win is not enough to keep him much further than that half of the table. Then we jump up to myself with Dreams of May. He's on 214 points. And then it pains me to say I've got a second feeling in my throat there to say that on 229 points above me is Grant McRobbie with AI No Better Than You. And then it is yourself with West End Country Club with 241 points, taking a bit of a jump here. Then up to Dan Axel Jameson with the Essex Elite. And then Matt Smith, Iguana Dance with somebody. I think we may not have taken a lot of Matt Smith's picks, seriously when he first, because, a whole Vibe thing, but Matt Smith is doing really well here.
Fucking Mr. Iguana, for God's sake. But Dominic Mysterio, as we described last week's show, Gary Morris and I said, we talked about Big Match John, Grand Slam Cena, Dominic Mysterio dropping the Intercontinental title on Raw, but he has got a rematch lined up for Survivor Series, so maybe a potential chance to score a last-minute surge in points as a result.
He is seventh over him and Alan Lucas are both just peeking into the top five on the outside, looking in as Dominic, who has been, like I said, his juggernaut 125 points. Mercedes Moné, I think if he hasn't scored it, he should have as a title points, because Mercedes Moné basically unifying and basically become the undisputed, not just interim, Ring of Honor Women's TV champion, beating Red Velvet this week on Dynamite.
How many belts is that now? 13?
13. Well, she carries both versions. 14, but like, she's carrying the bloody Owen Hart belt still, and also the Queen of Southsea belt is technically inactive because it's unified with the Rev Pro belt, so it's two belts in one title. But anyway, so you said Mercedes Moné still getting, but even though I don't think she's going to win at Full Gear, but also Chelsea Green regaining the Women's US Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, his top three picks are still holding in there. Hank and Dango are a non-factor. Mr. Iguana, despite only being on 3 points, has been more effective than him, given the fact he was at Halloween Havoc, and Swerve Strickland amazingly still on 0 points, being off the majority of the season with injury. But, so at best, mixed recently for Matt Smith, though he would have had more points for Chelsea Green if Stephen had got off his arse and made AAA titles, legitimate and actual point worthy. And the chat league were very much behind that decision, although Stephen has not got off his arse to really make a decision as to whether or not that will count for next season. But exactly, they'll keep raising the issue.
Yeah, I want those Ethan Page AAA mixed tag title retention points in there as well.
Yes. So you just wait till someone in his team randomly gets one of the AAA belts, and then he'll be all about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dominic, it was unfortunate what happened, and also Dominic took the loss, even though he wasn't pinned, he lost in the 6-man tag. But Matt has a chance to finish strong with a Dominic win at Survivor Series. But then as I move on to Lucas 55 and counting. Well, he's got more than 55. He's got 270 and a half to be exact. Then just 2 points ahead of him, 272 and a half points is to Tom Brock, 292 and a half points. And then we're late in starting our usual recording because we're still waiting for Stephen to update the what he scores, and I think we know why, because he's annoyed that he's in second this week, 201 points, with Straight Edge Brutality behind Team GOAT, which is on 315 points, when we have two very crucial shows coming up. And I think we have already, in the last couple of weeks, basically determined this a 2-horse race. So now it's a time to really look at what that these two shows can happen to screw one over the other, and maybe the smallest chance of somebody like Tom Brock leaping over them, although I do think is unlikely at this point. But we'll come back to that once we've taken a dip into the listeners league and see if it's the same result we've had recently, if who's on top, or can someone else just leap over at the last hurdle. Dave, what's going on?
Well, it's looking pretty one-sided at this stage. We've got 2 weeks left, and it doesn't look like the ranking's going to change anytime soon. So joint fifth this week, we have Tam McKinley with the Big Boss Tam and Gordon with I'm Not Too Fussed, both on 314 and a half. So very interesting combinations there. But looking at Gordon's team, he's got Rhea Ripley, Mercedes Moné, Jon Moxley, Jimmy Uso, the Young Bucks, and Roman Reigns. Whereas Tam, he has Charlotte and Bliss, CM Punk, LA Knight, Blake Monroe, Nick Aldis, and Chelsea Green. So 2 very different teams, but scoring-wise, it's been consistent on both sides. Tam's lowest scorer is, believe it or not, Chelsea Green on 40, and with the captaincy on Charlotte Bliss, he's got 80 points there. Gordon, on the other hand, his top scorer is, unsurprisingly, Rhea Ripley, and also unsurprisingly, his lowest scorer is Roman Reigns. But Jimmy Uso on 46, though, that can't be ignored, and both of them are going to be in the War Games matches alongside Rhea Ripley in the women's version. So there is potential for maybe Gordon to pull away from Tam in this instance. But then again, Charlotte and Bliss will also be competing in the War Games match, and with the captaincy applied, that could help him more in the long run. But third place, we have Anthony Fitzpatrick with including Impact Points 2.0, 330 points for him, 2.5 points ahead of him. Ross Brady, the big Ross man, 332.5, but still top of the table. It's been the story all season long. The story's still going, and the story is just about to finish for Big Alan Laurie. Finish on a high. Listeners Leaguer since day one. Potential Listeners League winner incoming. Probably projected winner in some cases. 367 points overall. So you're talking a 34.5 point gap between him and Ross. Alan Laurie's team consists of the injured Seth Rollins, John Moxley, Braun Squared, Saul Ruka, Nick Aldis, and Chelsea Green. Braun Squared obviously going to be in the men's War Games match. Moxley, as we've said before, a consistent AEW mainstay. Saul Ruka, I think, despite scoring 58 points, I'm starting to worry if, she might be on the downward slide a little bit, having lost another women's North American title match to Blake Monroe. But I think all the focus is going to be on Braun Squared and the War Games match, along with Mox at Full Gear. So plenty of points to be had. Alan could still extend his lead across these next two shows, despite only operating at around maybe 80% capacity.
Well, I think the fact that, before Seth went away, it's clear he's built up enough of a gap that he could kind of slow down a little bit, and it doesn't really matter. Like they can close the gap, but they can't fully overtake him. It reminds me, because other people like to mention their victories. I'll mention one of mine. When Shayna Baszler got like a 40-odd point gap for me above everyone else because of her decimating everybody in the bloody chamber. I think I built up enough of a gap that it was just enough for me to win, even if she lost at WrestleMania, which I was still very pissed off about. Me and David Campbell were here, and it seemed like him and Alan and Ross Brady may suffer because of Seth Rollins' injury, but like I said, the gap was clearly too big for other people like Anthony Fitzpatrick, who I would have liked to have seen really climb up there. But, Anthony Fitzpatrick, he may not close the gap between himself and Alan Laurie, but he could leap over Ross Brady on the way up the next couple weeks, because you should mention Anthony Fitzpatrick, much like the GOAT, does have Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, who have the tag title match coming up, but also has Survivor Series. He does have Stephanie Vicker and Jey Uso on his team, who have big matches at Survivor Series, because they have confirmed Stephanie versus Nikki Bella for Survivor Series for an World Championship.
We've got a Steph on Steph match if you know the inside joke.
Yeah, and also Eva Ray and Piran, as much as she bloody wants somebody NXT. So, he could at least finish second, which would be Anthony's best performance, because up until this point, I've been very disappointed. But this season, I've been like a proud dad watching Anthony, and then Silver, is still a placement, but it won't get you in this league.
But you know what? I'm going to feel like a proud dad when Big Alan Laurie wins this league. He's been one of the most consistent Listeners League performers. He just hasn't had that big break, but he's opened up such a lead. As long as he can maintain it, I think he's going to be the projected favourite. But obviously, you can't take away anything from Anthony. I think Anthony's got a lot of potential to finish second and overtake Ross Brady at some point.
But looking at people who are trying to overtake each other, Stephen Wilson and the GOAT David Campbell, the John Cena and Randy Orton of this bloody league, constantly going back and forth. Mind you, I've got more wins than Stephen, so who does that make me as a 5-time winner in this league? Put your comments down below. Who that makes me in this. But they've been dancing around each other. We've got Full Gear coming up. The main person for Stephen's team is Marina Shafir, who's been put into the women's title tournament, basically replacing the injured Penelope Ford to team with Megan Bayne. And they did announce on Dynamite there would be a 4-way match of Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir versus Harley Cameron, Willow Nightingale versus Julia Hart and Sky Blue, and against Toni Storm and Mia Shirakawa. Basically, whoever wins this match gets to determine the stipulation for their semi-final matches. So the semi-final matches are Sky Blue and Julia versus the Babes of Wrath, as they're called, and Toni versus Bayne and Shafir.
I think they're the only ones without a tag team name, Bayne and Shafir. Because you've got Babes of Wrath, Willow and Harley, Sisters of Sin, Julia and Sky Blue, and then the Timeless Love Bombs.
Mm-hmm. Also, I should mention Toni Storm and Mia Shirakawa are the only team, as far as I've seen, who've actually named what match they'll choose if they possibly will win. I mean, they listed a few of them. but Mina among them listed a Taipei death match. So, does that increase their chances, or does that spell out that they're not going to win? So, Amina Shafir win is Stephen's best chance to run up to David Campbell. But even if Amina Shafir does win, the fact that David Campbell, a move that we weren't sure about at the start of the season or what he was going for, the fact he's got both Cash and Dax, will both get championship points separately. If they win Brody, and Vicky's odds seem to favour that they will. Although we have doubted Brody before, but I think this is where the Cinderella story ends for them. That will,
Brodido, yeah. I mean, they had a fantastic match in Scotland at the Hydro a few months ago. Like, it went to a 30-minute draw, and honestly, if they can produce that kind of magic again at Full Gear, I think this has potential to be match of the night.
So looking at this, so Stephen doesn't have really that much AEW representation this season, so David could really increase his lead. I mean, how disastrous at this point of the season do you think it would be if FTR lost? Because also remember, he had 2 big pay-per-view losses at the start of the season, which made us question David's decision, but they have really climbed back up. His team overall is climbing back up. But for FTR to stumble once again, how bad would that be for David Campbell at this point?
That would be horrendous for the GOAT at this stage. But I reckon if FTR win, which I think they probably will, I think it could just about seal the season for the GOAT at this stage, especially even with, he's got no other AEW representation on his team, but even if Stephen gets points for Marina Shafir and Megan Bain winning, it won't be enough to close the gap, because obviously, GOAT's had that clever idea of Pit King, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Hardwood as solo guys. So double points for a tag title win. I think that's probably going to seal the deal, and it might decide the season. So, and especially when you've got, his captain, Stephanie Vaquer, looking to defend the women's world title at Survivor Series against Nikki Bella, of all people. I mean, again, don't want to touch wood here, but it's because when you think you've seen madder stuff with Becky Lynch and Maxine, you think you might as well just give them the points with that title defense.
Well, I think this is just a chance to get them another big women's match on the Survivor Series card, because a lot of the big players will be in the War Games, including the tag champion, the former Intercontinental champion. You've got the US champion being like Chelsea Green, who's doing her own thing in like NXT, and Jade Cargill doesn't really have anyone pay-per-view worthy to challenge her just yet. So I think they want another big women's match. So I think it won't be the end of the story, but it will be a definite retention. But even though Marina Shafir would get a win on pay-per-view, if she wins here, that would be pay-per-view points. These are 2 people in title matches with Cash and Dax separately. So there's a strong chance that Survivor Series could be nothing but a formality in terms of the season, because looking at Survivor Series, also LA Knight isn't booked as part of the War Games right now, and he was removed to the bloody advert promo during Raw this past week.
All because they picked up a sign that says we want LA Knight, not Jey Uso. No yeet.
Obafemi has just come back, but he's not really doing anything until deadline, which won't even be scored. Because they'll fall in the week between this season and next season, so nothing's going to happen there.
Yeah. I mean, he's got Rhea Ripley and CM Punk, both in the respective War Games matches, but I think I only see one of them walking out of a win there. So, yeah, I'm making another prediction. I think I'm projecting that the GOAT David Campbell has won this season, and I've also projecting that Big Alan Laurie has won the Listeners League. Early predictions, but not locked in.
Yeah, you think about it, he's got CM Punk, Steven, and so he's in the men's War Games match. Also, Stephanie Vaquer, not in a War Games, but in a title match for Campbell. He doesn't have anyone in the War Game situation, although he was boosted once again. Soul Circle finally getting his thumb out, literally, with bloody Dolph Ziggler, of all people, showing up and getting a win.
Did not expect to see Zigglypuff back in WWE in 2025. I thought he was going to be Nick Nemeth for life.
I don't see Solo progressing much further in the tournament past this next point when his next match comes up on Raw. So, obviously, 2 people in War Games, but, pay-per-view title defense for Stephanie Vaquer, who you said is his captain. Stephanie Vaquer is the captain.
Yep.
Captain, pay-per-view win, pay-per-view. One of the highest things you can get points-wise, especially for this point, for the finale. So if he gets that, and really nobody else in War Games, then I don't think it really matters which one of his picks, Stephen's picks, wins War Games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, also,
Yeah.
do you think
FTR will pretty much seal the deal, but Stephanie Vaquero will be the cherry on top.
do you think an FTR loss, but then Stephanie win could
Yeah.
still win in the season?
Yeah,
Like-
he'll still be fine if FTR lost, I reckon.
Oh, I don't want to. I guess I'm calling it as it is, but part of me, because our job is to analyze this
Always.
stuff. And sometimes we have seasons where like it's one person at the top for ages, and then it's always exciting when someone overtakes them. And we want to keep it interesting going into the finale. We want to have something to talk about next week, And I would never try to pick favorites, even though you want your own team to do well as well. But part of me, there is a small part of me, just for the excitement's sake of, as a spectator, part of me wants FTR to lose because that will increase the excitement going into Survivor Series, because then Stephanie Vaquero will then still clinch it for David Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that comes Survivor Series on the 29th, that Stephen Wilson will be somewhere rooting on Nikki Bella.
Oh, I'll tell you what, we should just go find Stacey and they can cheer on Nikki Bella together in that instance.
Nikki Bella would be the third happiest person about her winning the women's title she did, behind Stephen Wilson and Stacey Smith. Not that I'm rooting against you, David. I'm just trying to create excitement buzz for this. But yeah, I think
well, you can't really follow excitement when the stats are against you. But then again,
if you it's still disaster for you.
Yeah, but for all you soccer fans out there, you could look at the Scotland national team's football statistics and you think they've got no chance of making it on a world stage. But guess what? It bloody happened. 4-2 against Denmark with some of the most outstanding goals you've ever seen. And look at us on the world stage now. So, yeah, some mad things can happen, just when things go your way and you put the right amount of effort in the right place.
But, David and Stephen, they've already had enough airtime. Looking at other people, I mean, we already said that Tom may, lose out on one of his top scorers. If Kel Virtual loses to Mark Briscoe, I think it's the whole, if he loses, he must join the Don Callis family stipulation that's making me doubt that Mark will lose. But who else do you think across this card here do you think has a chance of breaking out and, giving somebody maybe not a chance of winning, but giving them a nice boost going into the second last week?
Difficult to say, but one match that stood out for me is the steel cage match for the AEW World Title. It's Hangman Page versus Samoa Joe. Now, obviously, Joe is, I believe he's undrafted. It's Hobbs and Shibata. Yeah, Hobbs and Shibata were drafted as the tag team, but I believe they're holding the trios titles with Joe. And it's Dan Axel Jameson that has Hangman Page leading his charge. Adam Page, 117 points overall, like a whole generation ahead of his next Adam Pearce on 47. So yeah, Hangman being the juggernaut for the Essex Elite, but still only a mid-card position. But I tell you what, with Hangman Page and the captaincy applied, a retention could certainly bump him up to, maybe close to the top 5, but he needs a bit more than that to cut it, because he also has the Young Bucks in his team as well, and they're in a match with Josh Alexander against Kenny Omega and Jurassic Express, where the winner gets $1 million. So my guess is, if the Bucks win that, and they certainly need the money to, maybe get executive leverage again, maybe get them back in contention, I think Dan might actually have a chance to maybe bump up his standings to potentially 5th place if all goes with his way.
Yeah, it's weird that Dan isn't higher than he is. He's in 8th place right now, but yeah, Adam Page certainly would help bump him up. I'm not too sure about the Young Bucks. Obviously, he's also coming off a Blake Monroe title defense and Gunther's first match back of the season.
Gunther's back as well, yeah.
I think Gunther is going to compete next week against one of our matches that's going to happen on SmackDown next week. So 2 matches from Gunther on TV would help boost him, because Gunther's now on a whole 4 points. So if he wins next week, he'll tie Mother Wayne, who's on 8 points right now. Mother Wayne out.
This is Wayne.
A big side. You can almost hear in the distance Dan Axel Jameson's cries of relief when it was announced that Gunther would be competing in this last time as now. But yeah, I would agree. Adam Page is somebody to really help Dan, because like you said, you'd think Dan would be higher up. But an interesting one, Kazuchika Okada defeated Mascara Dorada on Dynamite this week, which is, it's no title online. It was a double Jeopardy match where the winner would get a shot at the other's titles. So Mascara Dorada is 1/3 of the trio champions in CMLL, along with a guy called, I think, Neon and Mystico, the original Sin Cara. So
My God.
So it's those three on the pre-show against
El Sky
Okada,
team, yeah.
Against Okada, Hechicero, and Yosuke Takeshita.
Yep.
So there was a weird one. If we're calling for to be balanced for our Mexican viewers, if we're counting AAA belts, this is going to be more of a case. Also count CMLL, but count all belts if they're defended on Dynamite, Raw, SmackDown, AEW, or WWE show that is counted here. TNA, CMLL, AAA, Ring of Honor, your local indie, whoever. As long as they're defended on the show, I think they should be counted. Because I know Alan will if he bloody wins the trio things, but I think we all know where this is going with the relationship between Takeshita and Okada.
Yeah, I can see them going downhill because it looks like they're teasing a bit of dissension between Okada and Takeshita, and a win for El Sky team to retain the trios titles. It's not going to do 55 and counting any favors, but you know what? I think it might just fuel the feud between Okada and Takeshita, and it looks like that might be where it's going, especially if, Takeshita's the one to take the international title off of Okada.
Mm-hmm. Grammy always an interesting position because his main representatives are in matches against each other. He's got both Mina Shirakawa and Julia Hart.
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, that's not going to do him any favours at all, especially, ever since Seth Rollins has been taken out with injury, I think Grant has just been in free fall at this point because AI knows better than you. It certainly doesn't know when an injury is going to strike, and that's unfortunately where Grant finds himself, especially with, you've got Tekla, you've got Julia Hart, Mina Shirakawa. That's all his representation for AEW.
So your friend Robert Shaw's got John Moxley, who refuses to go on holiday, but is in the story against Kyle where he keeps tapping out. So what happens there? And also the Hart Syndicate, he'll only get points in that Casino Gauntlet if Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley are there at the same time. If they
are the 1 and 2 entrants, so they'll get appearance points regardless.
There you go. It's only appearance, nothing for that title win, but it'll be interesting for the next couple of seasons to see who they put that new national title on to and see if that's under
Ricochet.
That's Ricochet avenue for title points. Doing what the TNT title used to do, where someone would get defended. So, but you're just counting on a Ricochet win. I mean, the fact he's one of the only people that's been around or announced or even talked about this new national title.
Yep.
No, increases your odds, but we'll see what happens.
You know what? Let's give Big Trev a high note to finish on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I knew title. Yeah, you can bet that title will be counted next season because it's brand new AEW. But what about the other title, Stephen? Please tweet him, and please tweet at the wrestling_draft on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and put it in the comments. Make all titles count if they're defended on WWE or AEW.
Yep. Just only if the programming's there, title matches should count regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That'll make Dominic Mysterio even more valuable pick because he'll have two belts.
Oh, for God's sake, that's right. Yeah, I forgot he's still AAA Mega Campeon.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we look forward to Full Gear, well, I know certain people do. We also look forward to next season, which will be a hell of a sprint. We're already putting together routines for that, but we'll see. Is it already... it's already a foregone conclusion in one sense, but will he be more foregone next season? We come back to preview the finale of the season, the War Games.
War Games!
It's all kicking off here in the finale, but will it be the tyrannical, multiple-time guy who does the score, Steve Wilson, or will it be that plucky underdog, 6-time in his Listeners League winner, David Campbell, like John Cena, that plucky underdog winning his 17th world title?
Never seen 17th GOAT, be Christ. We'll never hear the end of it.
The GOAT needs this win as much as John Cena needed the Intercontinental Championship, I think.
Hey, yeah, he really needed it. That's the thing.
I mean, it's another brag. I mean, one thing that Gil hasn't mentioned was that he mentioned in the stat that I repeated on this show, he would be 25% of all drafts we've done. It would also be notable for him to win the very first season we did as part of ESSR before there even was a Saturday Draft Live. And then he wins the first season of this. So by proxy, if we're going back on that theme, you'll win season 3 and I'll win season 4 if we're going by that trajectory.
You know what? And tell you what,
that long.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if it's the first Royal Rumble season of the Wrestling Draft, I actually might have a chance because I did win the first Royal Rumble season of Saturday Draft Live.
Yeah, well, I've won the Road to Rumble season twice, so that's it.
So there you go. That's the next That's not predictions. That's spoilers. The winners for the next 2 seasons are us two.
Yeah, and now we said it out loud. It's not going to come true. We've ruined it now.
Yeah.
So you see what your birthday wish is. But we're just wishing we could win because we're definitely not in contention right now. But let us know between those two people, between Stephen and David, who would you prefer to win of those lucky underdogs?
Option C, neither.
Yeah. Until next time, make sure to follow the Wrestling Draft, subscribe on the YouTube channel. Make sure to give us a like, rating, or review on your chosen audio platform on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you choose to get your podcast. Recommend it to a friend if they're interested in this kind of content and see if they want to be interested in getting involved in the Listeners League and have their decisions questioned by 2 idiots like us. Professionals. But until next time, Dave, it's onward onto the finale, onwards into war, sing into full gear to look ahead to the big look ahead to already to next season, the biggest sprint in draft history.
Yep.
And it's going to be even shorter a year because second week of December it'll start right up to the end of January. There's not a time to waste, but we'll cover it all here next time. Same draft time, same draft channel.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day. Yeah?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.